Often, when you think you're at the end of something, you're really at the beginning of something else. Fred Rogers said that. Well, what's the end? The end is the old way of living, a prehistoric way of living where it's okay to pollute, destroy the environment, be busy all the time, disconnected from nature, and treating our bodies and minds poorly with things like toxic food and TV screens. So, every day I'm grateful for endings because the only thing that comes after endings is new beginnings. And here is our chance. It's where our power lies. Because with each and every beginning, whether it's a new day or just a new moment, we can choose different actions, different mindsets, ones that serve us better. And if we live and think this way, we create massive amounts of hope and positive change, both personally and globally. We then become the change that we want to see in the world, and that is the most powerful thing there might be. So here we are in the final lesson of permaculture, the #1 essential tool for healthy and sustainable living. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this series. It's a challenge to introduce such a big and powerful topic, permaculture, in such little time, but I think we will have accomplished it by the end of this lesson. And as you guessed it, I'm excited to get started. I hope you are as well. Now, lessons 1 and 2 introduce you to the solutions that permaculture provides and where to start. Lessons 3 and 4 were focused on the gateway into permaculture, gardening, and with that, soils. You learned how to create living soils and ecological gardens for more harvest, less work, and more free time. But the truth is, soils and gardening is only the tip of the iceberg, and somehow I'm going to fit the rest of that iceberg into this lesson here today. So, in this lesson today, you're going to discover the 4 other areas permaculture impacts positively around your home and in your life. An example, cook for free with the sun. You're going to discover why permaculture fails without this one piece, and no, it's not solar panels. And you're going to discover my biggest aha moment in my life, and it just might be yours too. And you're also going to discover why a PDC is critical to being able to use permaculture successfully. I'll give you a hint, knowledge is power. And lastly, you'll discover a step-by-step mastery program for home or homestead scale permaculture, giving it to you faster with less time and more clarity. So, for those of you who are ready to take action and start your permaculture life today, there will be a limited time opportunity to get in on my permaculture mastery program as one of my new students. And this will only be a handful of you who will step up, step in, and say yes to a life that's in alignment with your values. And I'm excited to create massive change with you. Now, there's a lot to learn, so let's not waste any more time. So, if you're an ecologically minded person who's deeply desires to live sustainably, connected to your food and the land, and you want to be part of the change in the world, then you're going to see how people just like you can go about daily life feeling guilt-free and empowered because you've built a sustainable and healthy life for you and your family. All right, to kick this off, what's the difference between permaculture, sustainability, and self-sufficiency? How are they the same? How are they different? Now, permaculture is a way to design regenerative human settlements, which are inherently sustainable and self-sufficient. Sustainable here means that it can go on forever and ever indefinitely, which you are well aware that most of our daily lives is not sustainable, right? Power, heat, fuels, products, and more are not sourced, manufactured, distributed in a sustainable way at all. And it's not up to the corporations or the governments to change this. Instead, we as consumers need to change the system by changing our daily actions, how we live our lives, and how we vote with our dollars. Next, self-sufficiency is simply providing for one's own needs, not relying on others such as governments and big corporations for the basic needs like food, water, or medicine. Self-sufficiency is having your own food sources, water sources, energy sources, and more, locally or from your land. Now imagine if every home in the world was completely off-grid, even in suburbia. That's self-sufficient. The grid could go down and you wouldn't know any different. Now here's the thing that I want to impress. Permaculture extends way beyond the garden to create sustainable, self-sufficient living, which you were introduced to in the first lesson, and I want to dive into it deeper here because this is maybe even more powerful material than anything we've touched upon yet. So let's look at a few ways in which permaculture creates sustainable and healthy lives. Let's start with permaculture animals. Now this quote is from Ben Falk, author of The Resilient Farm and Homestead. He really put it as simply as it gets. Natural systems thrive with animals, and so will the permaculture home or homestead. If we intelligently leverage the intrinsic characteristics of animals, we can reduce our workload while providing the highest quality life possible for that animal. So let's take a quick look at the most commonly kept home-scale animal, chickens. When we look at the needs and yields of an animal, we can begin to see how we can connect that animal within our permaculture home. For example, a chicken provides scratching, foraging, and manure, plus a few other things. We can connect chickens to, say, your garden, food forest, or orchard. And we can see that the chicken's behavior as scratching can serve as tilling for you. The chicken's natural tendency to forage can serve as weeding for you. And of course, the chicken's need to poop equals fertilization for your garden. Do you see how all of a sudden the chicken makes your garden, food forest, or orchard less work? Simply by letting them do what they would naturally do in those areas. And to boot, the chicken is getting its needs met while doing so, further reducing your need to provide feed for the chicken or clean out the chicken coop. Now that's smart, and that's how permaculture works with animals. You can create animal connections with just about any animal: rabbits, ducks, goats, sheep, cows, you name it. They all can provide and be provided for with the right design. Now by design, I mean creating intelligent connections, as we keep talking about on your permaculture site. Now for those vegans out there, obviously using domesticated animals might not be an option, depending on your beliefs. Just be aware that there is vegan permaculture. Second, alternative energy. Now fossil fuels generate most of the electricity we currently use. These power plants, they discharge polluted water, release particulate matter into the atmosphere that we breathe, and of course emit more pollution than cars. And on the other side of this, I'm sure you're all aware we have alternative energy and how it's a cornerstone of both sustainable living and self-sufficient living. Here we're talking about things like solar power, wind power, hydropower. Now, if you study permaculture in depth, you will certainly learn more about these different ways to source energy for your home and your life, independent of utility companies. But I want to show you something cooler and actionable today. There are way more small and simple solutions than expensive solar systems. For example, solar ovens. Now the solar oven, sometimes also called a solar cooker, is a device that harnesses sunlight as a source of heat for cooking foodstuffs. This solar oven is simple, portable, economical, and an efficient tool. Of the many advantages of solar ovens, the greatest is its freedom from the necessity for fuels. You can cook anything from veggies to a roast, or even bake cookies in a solar oven. We have our own portable oven, and we've used it for years. Simply place your food in the solar oven, direct it to the sun, and let your meal cook for free. You can build your own in an afternoon, as we've done here, or you can buy one for as little as $100. So, right here is a simple solution that anyone can use to reduce their carbon footprint, connect with natural power, and improve self-sufficiency. And third, water harvesting. Now, water is such a huge concern. Drought, fires, declining forest systems is all around me in the West. And places that don't seem to have water issues at first, like the Midwest, actually do. For example, the average water bill in the Great Lakes area has doubled in the past 10 years. So, even if you live in a wet climate, you should still be concerned with water. Now, here in the west coast of the United States, we're seeing the hottest, longest, deadliest, and most expensive forest fires in the history of recorded science. And our rivers and lakes are running dry, while cities like Los Angeles pump their water from the other side of the Sierra Nevada mountains thousands of miles away. Rains are becoming more infrequent, or come in series of overwhelming storms where then an overabundance of water causes issues like flooding and landslides. So, Water is a huge concern for everybody. And guess what? Your garden, your homestead, it needs lots of it. Now, estimates vary, but each person in a household uses between 80 to 100 gallons of water per day in the United States. My homestead alone can use 1,000 gallons a day with extremely efficient irrigation systems. Now, that's a lot of water, right? I want to ask you a question. Do you know the most expensive use of electricity? The answer? Pumping water. Water is heavy and very costly to move. Plus, water likely needs to be filtered. So if you live in a city, your water's already gone through a large-scale treatment process. So our water use contributes to our carbon footprint and therefore global climate change. It's really important that we look to smarter and better ways to improve our world water situation. So then, roof water harvesting is one way to supplement your garden or your home's water usage where it's legal with harvested rainwater. Now, the rainwater that falls on your roof, your house, your garage, it can be collected in water tanks and rain barrels and used outside to water plants or filtered and placed into your home. For example, 1 inch of rain on a 1,000 square foot house, you could collect 560 gallons of water. That's incredible, right? And depending on your average rainfall per year, the amount you could collect could be tens of thousands of gallons of water off your roof alone. Now, this is something I love so much because harvesting rainwater has such a huge positive impact and goes way beyond just the garden. And next, natural building. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, heating and cooling accounted for more than half of all residential energy consumption in the United States. Plus, most homes are constructed with materials that off-gas harmful VOCs, which are found in paint, carpeting, and insulation and caulking, for example. But we can build naturally. Homes, buildings, and structures that are not toxic and can be built with local and sustainable materials such as clay and dirt to reduce carbon footprint from construction. Now, here's a rammed earth home that I stayed in the mountains of Durango, Colorado. And despite the daily temperature fluctuations, the thick earthen walls kept the home at a very comfortable temperature with no heating and no cooling. Natural buildings use techniques like thermal mass, solar orientation, and local climate factors, natural and passive ventilation to construct buildings that are truly sustainable. While natural building is incredible, not everyone will get to build or buy a natural home. So I want to point out these building strategies can be applied to other things, such as greenhouses, garden sheds, and even cob ovens for outdoor cooking. Here's it, for example, is an outdoor oven constructed from clay, sand, and straw, a mixture known as cob. The thermal mass insulates the oven, holding the heat inside, allowing for very efficient cooking. And if you love wood-fired pizza, a cob oven is definitely for you. All right, so we've only touched on the surface of these topics, such as water harvesting and natural construction. But what I want you to understand the depth in which permaculture and sustainable living goes, okay? It goes beyond the garden to create sustainable human settlements. All right, so next, maybe you're wondering, why does permaculture work so well in so many different areas? Well, what makes it different than anything else out there today? Let me ask you a question. Nature is abundant. Are people? Have you ever stopped to think about why a barren desert, over the course of time, can turn into an old-growth forest without any money or people to do the work or fossil fuels? Nature by design is among many things abundant. You see, natural systems by design create. Even disasters or disturbances create more life in the long run. For example, the year after a wildfire, more wildflowers will bloom than in any of the previous years. The forest, it'll have more breathing room. Crowded stands will open up and plants will grow with more vigor than before the forest fire. Natural systems provide for the needs of its inhabitants by default. So, have you ever wondered why people don't? Why our gardens don't? But there's more here. Not only is nature abundant, it's also efficient. Nature doesn't need to truck in soil amendments to grow healthy plants, right? Nature doesn't need to pipe in water to support life in any region. Nature doesn't need to fuss with tilling the soil year after year. So why is that? While in truth, it's a complicated answer, there's one aspect that I want to point out here. That is that nature is in alignment, in rhythm, and connection with itself. For example, nature does not try to grow an annual vegetable, such as kale, in compacted clay soil with little organic matter. It just won't work. Instead, nature first sends in pioneering species like grasses and low-growing woody brush to build up the soil and break up the clay to develop the soil into a healthy state for future plants. But we humans are different, okay? We want it our way, right now, and where we say. Which is why we have the industrial system we have now, producing toxic food and destroying the environment from which it comes. But if instead humans leverage the knowledge of permaculture and read the landscape, we would know how to live in harmony with the landscape. This is permaculture, leveraging ancient knowledge and modern science about the natural world and applying it to our lives today to create truly sustainable, if not regenerative, lives. Permaculture looks to nature to design our systems. Now, don't be scared of the word system. Your garden is a system. Your compost pile is a system. A system is just the way you decide to organize something, okay? That's a system. It's just a placeholder word that I'm using to mean anything in your life or on your homestead or in your house. So all this means that in order to receive the benefits of permaculture, you need to understand nature, understand ecology. Got that? Learning more about nature will drastically increase your success with permaculture and in your farm and on your garden. In other words, learning all the techniques that I've talked about, like water harvesting swales, gray water to landscape, composting toilets, plant gilding, no-till gardening, aquaculture, all of these work way better when you understand the environment in which you live. This is one critical component that you need to know to ensure permaculture actually works: reading and understanding the natural world. And it's not really that hard or really that complicated. So, knowing more about trees, climate, water cycles, soils, for example, they're going to open your eyes to permaculture, the possibilities in your life. And all of this brings me to a final tool that I want to share with you, which might be a little different than what you're expecting. So, brace yourself. So how do you then create this sustainable garden, food forest, home, or homestead that you're wishing for? How do you know actually where to start? How do you know where the best place for the garden is on your site? Where do you place the chicken tractors? What direction does your passive solar home face? Where's the most efficient place on your site for a garden shed? Now, what we're going to be talking about here is the difference between permaculture working and permaculture failing. So, a quick story for you. Years ago, I was work trading on a small farm, and I was their labor in exchange for my rent on the land and experience. Now, the owners will let me have free reign of the place for the most part, and they even encouraged me to implement permaculture experiments into the site. So, I decided to dig a water harvesting swale to collect the rainwater, recharge their well, and hydrate the landscape. Now, a swale is simply a long ditch that goes across the hillside to capture the water, slow it down, spread it, and sink it into the landscape. Well, I spent the better part of a day preparing the land. I got an A-frame level, I marked out the swale, and the next day I got a backhoe. Thankfully I didn't have to dig this by hand, and I dug the swale. And then lastly, I built a spillway for the overflow. I lined it with rocks, and I seeded the whole area that I disturbed with seeds and covered with mulch and straw. Whew, that was a lot of work, right? And guess what? The swale, it did nothing. The swale never really worked. It never really harvested any rainwater. It just became an annoying obstacle to walk or drive around in the landscape. Now, this is the actual swale that I dug. So, any guesses as to what went wrong? I didn't start in the right place, and I created something that didn't work, right? It wasn't the permaculture technique that failed. It was my lack of understanding and my lack of planning that failed it. I didn't plan it. I didn't design it in the right place. So, a powerful tool that permaculture provides is the framework to intelligently and efficiently design your sustainable life at home on paper. So the permaculture design process is all about observing a place, learning it, and then intelligently placing things in the absolute best location possible with little confusion. It's your working plan, it's your roadmap. It's not hard, it doesn't require any special skills or even artistic ability whatsoever. Heck, you could plan a permaculture home or homestead on a napkin if you really wanted to. It's simply about pre-thinking it and making intelligent and informed decisions to ensure the life you're creating is efficient, sustainable, and low work. These are some professional designs that I'm showing you here because they're clear and easy to understand. But ultimately, it can be a simple sketch. The point is, just as you wouldn't build a home with no blueprints, you're not going to design a sustainable life that works without a roadmap, without a blueprint of your own. And that's what permaculture design does for us. We simply take a little bit of time ahead of time, plan out on paper, connect things on paper, and then invest the time and energy to actually execute these on our land with the plan in place. So here we are, the final lesson in the series, an ending, yes, but it's also a new beginning. What I hope you have gained is an understanding of how the permaculture is a key ingredient to create sustainable lives on your terms, whatever that looks like for you. It could be starting with a small patio garden, teaching your kids where food comes from in between busy days. Or it could be turning your small suburban plot into an oasis with ecological gardens, sprawling everywhere, fruit trees dappled throughout, rabbits and chickens, rainwater tanks, harvesting water, solar panels producing free electricity. All of this because it's a lifestyle choice that you embrace, and your values now align with the way you're living. Or it could be 50 acres of land off in some quiet woods somewhere like we've done here with a tiny home, large gardens, lots of space, trees to provide your heat, sustainability, peace and solitude, waking up in nature every day with your cup of coffee, nothing more than birds chirping and bees buzzing in the garden. Permaculture is how you get there, okay? Regardless of what it looks like for you. Next, I want to share with you a moment in my life that was critical to my ability to create, or rather be creating, a sustainable life for my family and myself. It was the point in my life which there was a death of my old being. Now before this moment was the old Brett, the city slicker consumer who dreamed of living a sustainable life. But, as our friend Albert just said, the old Brett was unable to figure out how to become a new person with old ways of thinking, right? What was the major light bulb aha moment that turned me into who I am today? Well, I want to share that specific moment with you because it transformed my life and it might transform yours as well. And transform is likely even an understatement. So, here's where it all changed for me, literally over the course of a few hours. Now, I had heard of permaculture before, so when I was experimenting with being a farmer, I decided to take my first permaculture design course. And when I did, my mind was friggin' blown open, okay? If you've ever taken a permaculture design course, then you likely have a very good idea what I'm talking about. This was the missing piece for me. That giant life-changing aha that I'd been unknowingly searching for a long time was finally there. Like have you ever had any of those days where you start off the day one person and at the end of the night you've completely transformed into another person? Now maybe it was the place, maybe it was the people, maybe it was just the day that my soul realized that this was the thing that I'd been searching for. I literally walked into that classroom one person, and by that evening when I opened that white door to the bright blue spring sky and the tall grass surrounding the classroom, I was a completely different person with a completely different direction. It was as if I just had a spiritual awakening or something, okay? It was a complete path forward to a regenerative life laid out right in front of me. And because taking a permaculture design course, or a PDC for short, changed my life so greatly, it's why I provide that exact same opportunity for people here today. Your teacher can open the door, but you must enter. So, what the heck does a permaculture design course even look like? Well, every teacher creates their own curriculum and version to some extent. All courses include the basics of learning permaculture and learning how to lay out a sustainable garden or food forest or home or homestead. But Here's how I personally like to break out the teachings in a permaculture design program. So my PDC program is broken into 3 different classes essentially, with each class having its own focus. The first class is permaculture literacy. It's the classroom time, if you will, where you will learn fundamentals, tools, and techniques that change your life and your garden. For example, you would learn in detail regenerating soils, food forest design, compost and compost teas, climate, water harvesting, natural building, urban permaculture, and way more. The second class is permaculture design. This is where you will go start to finish with creating a layout on paper for your homestead or garden and learn how to become a permaculture designer. This track is where we put the ideas down on paper, start connecting things, and making a plan, a roadmap forward for building a regenerative garden or farm. You'll learn things like site observation, natural awareness, site analysis, site planning, and more in a design class. Now, with these design classes, no design or drawing skills are necessary, and very little technical skills are required. The third class is practical application, and it supports the classroom time and the talk with real-life examples and trainings, filling in the gaps about how to build and execute some of the systems and things like water harvesting swales or passive solar heating and cooling. This class is the fun stuff, and it's the hands-on things like planting and seeding, compost making, surveying, tending the wild, sun mapping, DIY solar cooking, and more. Now, all 3 classes or tracks combine into a step-by-step program, what we call a permaculture design program. What's neat about PDCs is that they're actually a certification in permaculture. Now, the Permaculture Design Certificate, the PDC, is a specific 72-hour course outlined by the founder of permaculture, Bill Mollison. This standardized course is designed to give students a foundational knowledge of permaculture ethics, principles, design, application, and use. Now, all PDC certificates are internationally recognized, so you can live in Canada and take an Australian or American PDC. All right, my friends, this masterclass has been an incredible journey through topics that I passionately live and breathe, and now you do too. We've covered so many amazing topics that it's hard to sum it all briefly, from ecological gardens to solar cookers and connecting with nature to designing sustainable and regenerative lives. But the thing I want you to do here is this, okay? I want you to practice the skills you've learned. I want you to take this information and do something with it. Begin an ecological garden, try the no-till method, set up a small rain barrel on your downspout and harvest rainwater, build a solar cooker or a cob oven in your backyard. Knowledge without application has no power and is a complete waste of time, all right? I want to remind you that permaculture is a response to the world's major issues, but solves worldwide problems on a personal and local level starting in your backyards. Change is possible. A better future is possible. Okay? And if permaculture provides solutions and tools to problems as large as global ones, don't you think it can likely help you live a more sustainable and regenerative life on a small scale? Now, you showed up here today because you wanted to learn about permaculture and how to start incorporating it into your life, right? And you want to know where to start with it, and you want it to be simpler, right? You want to take this mountain of information that you know will transform your life for the better and have a complete and simple path forward. That's why you're here. You see, it doesn't matter where you're at in life, how little you have, how deep in you are. It's all about where you go from here. It's about the steps that you take to get to where you want to, right? Because a few steps a day add up to a big change in a year. So, what if I told you that just like we took a couple hours here this week to give you a life upgrade by introducing you to permaculture, you can get a complete step-by-step permaculture design program, mentor, and private community to get you living a sustainable life on your terms. Do you want to hear more? Because this next part is exactly how you can take this mountain of information and turn it into a simple guided path forward. So, imagine what it would be like to feel the confidence of knowing exactly what to do and how to do it to live a sustainable life, growing your own food, raising your own animals, and being part of the world's solutions. And imagine turning your regular garden into an ecological one, never tilling the soil again, creating a no-work food forest, harvesting rainwater from your roof, building with earth and materials, all with nature on your side. You can be part of this holistic lifestyle with permaculture. You can be part of a new way of living and being. Now, I know all of it sounds great, otherwise you wouldn't still be listening, but what I can tell you is this: I can't do it for you. I can't redirect your life. I can't learn for you, practice for you. Only you can. So it's here that I want to ask each and every one of you. If you aren't living the life you want, a life of alignment with your desires and values, do you want to? If you aren't growing your own food in alignment with nature, harvesting your own resources, living sustainably and self-sufficiently, do you want to? If so, are you willing to do the work if I show you how? So, for those of you that got value out of the training here this week, I want you to know that this is the tip of the iceberg, because you will benefit immensely from my online program, the Holistic Homestead Academy, an Advanced Permaculture Immersion. It's going to do a few things for you. First, it's going to give you a complete understanding of permaculture. Second, it's going to show you where to start, take you step by step along the path creating your dream garden or sustainable home or homestead. And third, it's going to show you real practical application of the tools and the techniques that you will learn. And it has literally changed my world and the world of all of my students. It's very much a replicable system that you can apply yourself, right? It's the tools that I have used every day on my land and on my clients' properties. It's exactly what I have done and continue to do to integrate more and more regenerative living into my family's life every year. You too can make a major transformation with permaculture. Now, I'm going to share how the Holistic Homestead Academy will help you, since all of you awesome folks raise your hands to say that yes, you are on track to live a sustainable, if not regenerative, life. All right, I'm guessing. The obvious question is, how can an online permaculture course help you transition your life and get you living your sustainable dream? Well, you have a choice. You can do it the slow way, through trial and error, by taking some of what you've learned here today and working with it. And you can spend years sorting through millions of blog articles, tens of thousands of YouTube videos, only to be left confused with no one to answer your questions, leaving you stuck, maybe exactly where you are today, except more frustrated. Or you can do it easily and quickly using my online program, the Holistic Homestead Academy Permaculture Design Course. And you can join 300 plus other international home-scale permaculture students designing and living the dream you have. So, what exactly is the Holistic Homestead Academy? Well, it's my complete step-by-step guide to pivot your life, teach you permaculture, and get you living a kick-ass life. It's designed to take you by the hand to live your sustainable dream. Okay? No missing steps, no confusion. It's the quickest and the most effective way to get from point A to point B. Now, the Holistic Homestead Academy, it's an information-packed online permaculture design certification course that walks you through everything you need to know, from the basics of permaculture, gardening, and permaculture design to advanced topics like rainwater harvesting and alternative energy. I want you to take a minute and imagine being able to apply permaculture successfully for a better garden, more sustainable home, and a regenerative life. And imagine that you can start growing your own high-quality organic food with less time, less energy, immediately regaining control of your health and your source of food. And imagine that you're now living a life much more in alignment with your desires. You're now living healthier, happier, more connected to everything. And imagine that you've mastered what it took to start your own sustainable home or homestead, no matter where you live. And imagine that you're finally there years sooner, walking on your own land, a steward to that beautiful, abundant place. So, all you have to do is follow along in this course, and here's what you'll master. The Holistic Homestead Academy is a combination of 3 teaching tracks or classes, each with 12 modules for a total of 36 information-packed modules. And each module has between 4 to 6 lessons for a total of about 180 easily digestible individual lessons. Now, I've intentionally broken it down like this because it's a lot of material and it takes a little bit of time to get through the lessons, absorb it, and apply it. But Because I get it, life is busy and most of us don't have many free hours to plow through a training program. In fact, this course was designed for people who don't have tons of free time because each lesson is less than 20 minutes, making it easy to fit into a busy schedule and leaves you time to practice and learn. Now, this is an entirely self-paced program, so you can dive in and complete it all in a couple weeks, or you can pace yourself and do one module a month, for example, to complete it in a year. And yes, this is a complete permaculture design certification course. You get your internationally recognized PDC certificate when you complete the training, and you can take this knowledge out into the world professionally if you wish. You can register your certificate with PINA, the Permaculture Institute of North America, if you desire. Now, to get your certificate, you do need to turn in the assignments and complete a basic design of anything you choose. Your ecological garden, a food forest, your homestead, for example. Additionally, if you desire to take the course, but you do not wish to do a design, you can do that as well, but you just won't get a PDC certificate at the very end. Now, here's what Jen had to say about the Holistic Homestead Academy. She said it was one of the best decisions she has made, and continues on to say that it was definitely a great investment. So here's the question I'm guessing that you have. How much does this cost? All right, first I want to ask you, what is it worth to you to get to live your regenerative life years sooner, or even at all? What's it worth to have permaculture laid out in an easy to understand step-by-step method so you can start benefiting from the knowledge years sooner and easier? Now, the big picture of this course is a drop in the bucket, but will give you the key ingredients that you have been missing up until today. That once you apply it, it will fast track your creating a regenerative life. This course is a combination of nearly a decade of my experience, an array of topics such as permaculture, homesteading, self-sufficiency, self-development, design, and more. Now, here's what my student Shelley said after recently completing my program. Now, before this course, I felt like it was just up to chance if owning or having a permaculture homestead would even happen for me. But now I have the confidence that it's possible and have already started to make it happen. And this story extends to so many of my students. You see, you can spend the next decade learning everything I did to get here, or you can get it all in my program. So, how much time and how much money will you spend to master everything that's been included in this course? Years of time? Tens of thousands of dollars, right? Now, this course is valued at an incredible price of $3,482, but that's not what you'll pay. Now, typically, this course sells for the regular price of $13.94, but I want to offer you a limited time special price for being such incredible participants of this workshop because I know you're excited and eager to get started. I want this to be accessible for you to start right away. You get all the modules, the tools, the resources, the workbooks, and almost 200 lessons for just $697 today. But this sale and enrollment only lasts for the next 5 days. So you can jump in and get started with the first module today. Just click the enroll button at the bottom of this page and you will be taken to a secure enrollment page. Now, we also have payment plans so you could get started for as low as $133 a month. Now, just a note here, you will save the most money if you pay in full. That will get you the full 50% off regular pricing. Payment plans are still an incredible 43% off regular pricing and still a great deal if you can't quite afford the full investment today. And to put this limited time deal into perspective, most other PDC programs cost between $1,500 to $3,000 and require you to take 2 weeks off work, travel to the site to take the class. Whereas here, you get to take a PDC course at your own home, at your own pace for a fraction of the cost. Just imagine what you can do with the time and money saved. Now, for those of you who enroll today, I'm adding bonuses on top of the Holistic Homestead Academy. Do you want to hear what those bonuses are? Let me ask you, are you struggling to break free of the 9-to-5 to live an autonomous life on your own terms? Does it seem overwhelming to make a major life shift from, say, the city to rural life? Or maybe you feel like you lack the confidence to actually pull it off. First, for anyone who registers by midnight tonight, I'm throwing in my complete online course, Your Sustainable Homestead, The Roadmap to Your Dream Life. Now, this is an entire program that I sell separately, but now I'm giving it to you on top of the permaculture immersion. It's my complete guide of everything I've learned in my journey of going from the 9 to 5 in city to homestead living. Now, this program alone is valued at $597, and it's included with the Homestead Academy today for free. But that's not all you get. Do you desire to generate income from your passions, such as farming, herbalism, wildcrafting, or essential oils? Well, I've learned the hard way how to generate income with my land and my passions, and I know that money is the #1 issue people have. So I want to give you my bonus course, the Holistic School of Business, if you enroll today. It's an entire program alone, and it teaches you how to monetize your passions. So you can use these teachings to generate income, and you can easily pay for the cost of this program off in no time. This bonus program alone is valued at $397. And again, it's included with the Holistic Homestead Academy for free if you enroll today. Next, let me ask you, are you wanting to live a sustainable life but simply can't afford to own land, a home, or a place to call your own anytime soon? Well, your third bonus for enrolling today is my ebook, How to Start Living a Sustainable Life When You Can't Afford to. This book is packed full of my hacks and secrets from my years spent living on other people's lands, on other people's dimes. And you get it for free by enrolling today. But that's not all. Are you ready to take the leap? Buying your own land or home or property, but you have no idea what to look for and you're scared of making an expensive wrong decision? Well, I'm also giving you my hit ebook, How to Find the Perfect Land for Your Homestead or Farm. This ebook helps you identify the perfect land to lease or buy for your homestead or farm. It's the information that saved me from almost making a $230,000 mistake when I almost bought a property that was totally wrong for our needs. So this ebook here could save you from as big of a mistake as I almost made. It's an incredible resource for you to have, and you get it for free if you enroll today. But that's not all. I realized that having a mentor is a critical component to mastering any topic in permaculture. Now, this is especially true here because the information can sometimes be a bit dense or lofty in nature. So I've included with my course access to my private members-only Facebook community where you can ask questions directly to me and get support from other students on the exact same path as you. I'll be hosting monthly question and answer sessions for you guys to help support you through the program. So, how valuable would it be to you to have weekly interactions and lifetime access to your permaculture teacher? I can hardly get a hold of any of my previous teachers, which is frustrating because after taking my PDC, I had so many questions. Well, I don't want that to be the case for you, which is why I make myself available to support all of my students. Okay, how about one more bonus for you all? Now, all of this is packaged perfectly into the last bonus, which is lifetime access to the course, all the bonuses, the Facebook group, and any future upgrades that are made to this course, which we're constantly adding to it. You get to lock in this incredible program and not have to worry about the price going up year after year because you have lifetime access. All right, so those bonuses alone are worth the price of the course, and I know you will get immense value out of them. Enrollment is open, well, technically right now, and closes in 5 days at 12 Pacific Standard Time. After that, enrollment closes and you lose your chance to get in on the program and save 50% off. Now, when you enroll, you get instant access to the course, your bonuses, the Facebook group, and myself. So you will have hours of material and all your ebooks and access to private Facebook group immediately. And don't forget about the fast acting bonuses. Enroll today and receive those 4 extra bonuses. Now, in case you're on the fence, let me help you hop off the fence without splitting your britches. Maybe you'd like to hear more success stories. Meet a different Jen by using the Finding Land to Start Your Homestead bonus. This alone helped her pick the perfect place to start their sustainable education center in Colorado. This is what Jen said when she tagged me in an Instagram post. Happiness is when you finally take that flying leap and start yourself soaring towards your dreams. A very special thanks to Brett. His ebook was beyond beneficial for ensuring that we could find land that was truly the best fit. And if that testimonial is not good enough, I'm offering a full 90-day money-back guarantee because I want you to have the opportunity to see that it is possible to move out of dreaming and into becoming a master of permaculture and a sustainable life. So you get a full 90 days to explore the course, follow along in the modules, do the workbooks, interact in the Facebook group, interact with me, design your sustainable life. I want you to feel how exciting it is to start your permaculture journey. And if after you've gone through the course, you feel it wasn't the right fit for you, just send a message to our support team for a full refund. However, I feel pretty confident that you will be totally happy, just like Wendy was. She said, "I wanted to commend you, Brett, on how polished your course materials and presentations are. I truly believe that your content is worth so much that I almost feel like I'm stealing from you. Your trainings are that good. Know that many of my students have been in the same position as you, and many have made huge strides or have made it to their sustainable life, learning permaculture and starting to living that life they desire. And you can too." So again, for $897 US, you get the Holistic Homestead Academy Permaculture Design Program, a 72-hour, 3-course permaculture design immersion. You also get access to our private student-only Facebook group. And you also get lifetime access to the course, the materials, and our community. And if you enroll by 12 Pacific Standard Time today, you also get all these bonuses. Bonus number 1, the Homestead Roadmap course. Bonus number 2, the Holistic School of Business course. Bonus number 3, the How to Start Living Sustainable When You Can't Afford to ebook. And bonus number 4, how to find the perfect land for your homestead or farm ebook. Plus there's more bonus goodies that I'm not even mentioning here. Now this is a complete package. That's everything you need to attain your permaculture homestead life and more. I promise that this material will not only get you there if you apply it, but it will completely upgrade your life. So click the link below and you'll be taken to the enrollment page. All right, my friend, I greatly appreciate you being a person that's interested in living a healthy, happy, sustainable life. And I certainly do hope that I will see you in the program today. Now, I want to wrap up this masterclass with one final thought. And that is this quote, which you've already heard in life. Be the change you want to see in the world. Now, stop and take those words in for just a second. You contain within you enough power to influence the entire world simply by choosing your actions, by choosing how to speak to another person, by choosing where to spend your dollars, by choosing how to model yourself for other people and your kids. So every single day, every single action we take is what creates this world around us. And therefore, I ask you to choose intentionally, choose consciously, choose intelligently, and choose to live holistically. Thank you.